Have you ever heard the sound of freedom?
Welcome to another 5-minute flip.
What is up, Flipopotomi? Welcome to your 5-minute flip for June 11th, 2025. So 2 days ago, I was driving my daughter, my 11-year-old, to her softball game. I'm an assistant coach on the team, so we have to get to the games 30 minutes early. And I was running late. I tried to do a little too much before going. Blame my ADHD for that. And the game was 30 minutes away. It was out in the country. And we're about 7 minutes away from the field. And out in the country, there are these large tractors, I guess this time of year, that take up the whole lane, right? They're huge. There's these huge tractors or some kind of harvesting equipment that take up the whole lane and the shoulder, and they go, maybe 5 or 10 miles an hour down this highway, or, country highway that's perhaps 55 miles an hour speed limit. So the guy in front of me, or the person in front of me, they passed the tractor thing, and from what my brain saw, it looked like the oncoming traffic, the traffic in the other lane, was letting us pass. Sort of like, hey, I see this giant tractor thing blocking your lane. I'm slowing down so you guys can get around, because it's easy to get around someone that's going 5 or 10 miles an hour. You just go around them. It's quite fast and quick. Well, my brain misjudged that signal that I thought the driver in the other lane was giving. And so definitely, as I say this, I'm at fault here. I'm at fault. I shouldn't have gone into the other lane. I thought there was room to make the pass. I thought this other car was slowing down to let me pass. And so I get into the other lane, and I'm trying to get around this tractor. And the car coming at me was a dark red pickup truck, and it was not letting me pass the tractor. It had no interest in me passing, and in fact, it was dead set on driving right through me, and it became a game of chicken. And that was that moment. I'm thankful that in moments like that, kind of a fight or flight moment, my whatever wiring in me does pretty well in kind of high intensity disaster type moments of doing what's needed or what's safe. That moment is stuck in my head of seeing this pickup truck barreling at me, and when you're driving, you go, oh no, like I'm here. I just made a mistake, and I can't get back into my lane because now I'm next to this tractor, and I don't remember all the details. Perhaps the tractor wasn't going 5 miles an hour. I don't know, but I was not able to accelerate to get around him. This truck was coming at me and for me, and he or she was not going to move. And so I did almost like if you've ever been in a situation where there was a quick stop in front of you, and maybe you weren't paying attention, or maybe it was just such a quick stop that you were going fast enough that you didn't have time to make the full stop, so you had to veer into the shoulder. That's kind of what the shoulder's for, I think. To get into the shoulder so that you wouldn't rear end the person in front of you. So I do that, but just on the other side of the road. So this truck's barreling in at me, and I pull onto the shoulder, because that's where safety is. And we're on a country highway, and the grass on the shoulder is tall, like a good 3.5 feet tall, and so you can't really see. ideally the shoulder would have been flat, and I would have just pulled off onto the shoulder, and all would have been well. But I was going pretty fast. I'm trying to pass this tractor, and I'm trying to get over now because this truck's coming at me. And so I end up not on flat ground, and I end up in a ditch. And so my car, I have a RAV4, so it's a little bit off the ground, thankfully. But I go into this ditch in this tall grass, and we're at a pretty good angle. I don't know if it was 45 degrees or whatever. And my poor daughter is in the back seat. She's not freaking out, but she's scared. What's going on? And I'm telling her as it's happening, and we're decelerating now that we're in the ditch, that this is the safest place for us. I said I was trying to pass, and this guy wasn't going to let me pass, and I just avoided an accident, by doing this. So I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm okay." I was okay, and we were still going straight. I thought maybe with my momentum I could get us, up out of the ditch. I realized that wasn't going to happen. We were perhaps even could have tipped, maybe. It just, you never really know if I kept messing around with it. So some people came out, someone who saw it happen, and there was a house across the street. They came over. That was really nice, and checked if we were okay. We were. And then I asked a guy, if I backed up a little, if I could get out of the ditch. And I said, if I back up at least, kind of like if you're in the snow, you can't go forward, but you can go backwards. It was one of those situations where I could go backwards. I just want to make sure I wasn't going to tip. So he made sure I wasn't going to tip. I was able to angle the car a little bit better and all these sorts of things. I was not able to get myself out of the ditch. Try to go a little bit faster here with the story. So I'm trying to get my AAA going. We have the membership, and then a guy shows up in a pickup truck and says, "Hey, I can tow strap you out." Sweet. So I stop the process of the tow truck, but then he's not able to hook the tow strap onto my car because there's nothing to hook onto, and he would rip the front of my car off. So we don't want to do that. So I go, all right, no worries. I'm going to go back to AAA and getting the process started. Oh, my wife just had me add an app from our insurance, Progressive, and this app's running in the background, and it is designed to detect if you were in a car accident, and it calls the police for you. So as soon as we get into the ditch, I get this phone call on my phone's Bluetooth, which is quite annoying. It's from the insurance app calling me to see if I'm in a car accident. And I hang up on it. I don't want to talk to the insurance right now. I'm trying to get out of a ditch. They keep calling me. I keep hanging up. And then eventually I get a call from the local area code, and I answer, and it's 911, like the desk of 911, saying, "We got a call from this number that you were in an accident." And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my insurance app. So I tell them, I've not been in an accident. I'm in a ditch. It's not really an accident. My car's not damaged. I'm going to be getting a tow truck to get me out. Okay, well, that call to them also called the police. So then a police car shows up, which would be fine if he was just there to check on me, ends up giving me a ticket, a citation for improper passing or whatever, passing when there wasn't room because I told him what happened. And that's fine. I mean, I was guilty of that. I made a bad judgment call. I thought the guy was signaling me over that I could go, and that wasn't the case, and things like that. But still, a little bit annoying. All this to say, the whole process took quite a while. Finally, I got back on with AAA, and it took another 25 minutes. And so we're going to the game early, and then all the other parents are going to the game are going the same way we are. They're passing us, and one of them stopped to see if we needed some help. I had texted the other coaches and was trying to get someone to come pick up my daughter to take her to the game, and then. We finally get out. It took a while, and we got to the game. We missed the beginning of it. Sadly, our team was getting crushed. We ended up getting run ruled. So I felt this kind of guilt about that, not being there to help coach and all this kind of stuff. And the reason I'm leaving you this 5-minute flip, it's not just to tell you the story of going in the ditch. But it was, so today's 2 days out, and I'm feeling a little more regulated today. But it was interesting because Monday night I went to bed and I had nightmares all night, and I had a lot of anxiety, and then I just had these deep emotional feelings that I was feeling about things like, I feel stupid that I made this mistake. Like, I drove into a ditch because I tried to pass someone when I shouldn't have. I feel stupid that, all these people passed me, saw what happened at the game. I'm late to the game. So I feel the sort of extra sense of, when you put a message on someone else that they're probably not thinking about you, but you just kind of assume that they are. Just sort of a sense of shame or humiliation about myself. And then there was like the real feeling too when you have that traumatic moment of seeing that dark red truck and going, man, this could have been a lot worse than it was. I could have died. I mean, I could have hit this truck head on, had maybe my fight or flight mechanism, I don't know, had taken a day off or had a malfunction and I panicked or froze. We would have collided head on, going full speed, and just even telling that into the microphone right now, I have a very visual brain, easily can visualize things, and that is terrifying. It's a feeling of terror, and having my 11-year-old daughter in the back seat at the same time, and just thinking about how much worse that whole situation could have been. That sat with me. And as I'm sitting with the Lord Monday night and Tuesday and even last night, I woke up with another nightmare, not about the accident, but I think, or about going, the potential accident going off the road, but just my system, my anxiety level is high, and I'm sitting with the Lord on this. And one thing that I felt was just a lesson on humility, that it is good to stay humble. Not that I feel like I was walking around prideful or something, but I think sometimes it's good, and perhaps, I don't know, perhaps you're in a situation like this. This is just my reflections. It's good to be humble, and sometimes it's good to be humbled. Just in general, the sense of, maybe I do need to slow down a little bit. Maybe I need to reevaluate some things, and even to be maybe to feel a little bit humiliated is a strong word, but to be knocked down a few pegs, perhaps, with an experience like this, you go, okay, God, I think there's something in there for me to hold on to and learn, in the sense of how I carry myself, the way I perceive life, my perspective on life. And then the second one is, I don't want to call that a near-death experience. I mean, I think it could have been. I think had I stayed in that lane longer, or if something else, I'd say another huge blessing was, yes, it was a ditch, which is a bummer. It wasn't just a flat shoulder. But maybe 5-10 yards ahead of me from where I stopped was this electric box, I think perhaps of the house that was across the street. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was something with their water or their electricity. If I had hit that, I would have had a ton of damage. I would have damaged that. I'd have to replace that, and there would have been a huge headache. But I thought it could, you could hit it, go into a ditch and hit who knows what. Like, you could hit a bank, you could hit a huge boulder, and just that whole experience of going, I could have died. You don't wake up in the morning going, later in the day, I'm going to have an experience where I could die, or where my 11-year-old daughter could die. And we absolutely take life for granted. We absolutely act like we won't die. And there's two sides of that. One is there's eternity. Do we believe in eternity? Do we believe in heaven and in hell? Do we believe in the gospel? Do we believe that there's supernatural? Do we believe that this life is not all there is? We only believe it at funerals. That's how I feel. I feel like funerals is the only time we ever really believe that that's true. And in an experience like that, I'm going, okay, that could have been me. That could have been my funeral. Am I living in a way that this life is not forever? Am I sharing the gospel with other people? And then the second piece of it is not just the eternal, but when you realize this isn't forever, when someone dies, don't you want to, you think of all the things you wish you had said to them. I want an appreciation for life. A friend of mine has a very serious form of cancer, and this friend is not sure if they're going to make it through the end of this year. And they're close to my age, and their journey has been very inspiring, and conversations have been very convicting and inspiring, where their perspective is to appreciate every ounce of life that they can. Their perspective is, I've been given this day. How do I appreciate the people that are in this day, the experiences that are in this day, the beauty that's in this day that God has given? And this person is a Christian, but their thoughts are not on, I'm going to go to heaven someday. Their thoughts are on, I'm on earth right now. How do I appreciate every single minute that I have with my family, with my friends, with the people that are around me? And that is not a perspective that I live with very well. I don't live in the present moment very well. I struggle with anxiety. I've talked about that in recent 5-minute flips. With living in the moment, I think this is part of it, of saying living in the present, appreciating the present. And that's where I'm at. So I drove my car into a ditch, and that's one of my takeaways, is the importance to slow down and appreciate the people and the time that I have, the people and the time that you have, the experiences that we have. What are we doing with the life that we have? What are we doing with the life that we are making, and the impact that we're having, and the way that we appreciate and savor the good things? And I wanted to share this while it was still fresh in my mind. I hope it's an encouragement to you, and I hope it's something that shapes my heart long into the future. So thanks for listening to this 5-minute flip. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to this 5-minute flip. Subscribe for more flips and long-form episodes of The Flip Side. Visit www.patreon.com/NoahFilipiak to support and get sweet Flipside swag.